Hey friends, it's Joe here for day 38 of going through the Psalms. So we're looking at Psalm 38. Let's read it together. As I read Psalm 38, I'm going to read just specific verses, but I encourage you to take time later to read the entire psalm yourself. Psalm 38, a psalm of David for the memorial offering. O Lord, rebuke me not in your anger, nor discipline me in your wrath. For your arrows have sunk into me, and your hand has come down on me. There is no soundness in my flesh because of your indignation. There is no health in my bones because of my sin. For my iniquities have gone over my head like a heavy burden. They are too heavy for me. My wounds stink and fester because of my foolishness. I am utterly bowed down and prostrate. All the day I go about mourning. For my sides are filled with burning, and there is no soundness in my flesh. I am feeble and crushed. I groan because of the tumult of my heart. O Lord, all my longing is before you. My sighing is not hidden from you. My heart throbs, my strength fails me, and the light of my eyes, it also has gone from me. My friends and companions stand aloof from my plague, and my nearest kin stand far off. Continuing in verse 15. But for you, O Lord, do I wait. It is you, O Lord, my God, who will answer. For I said, only let them not rejoice over me, who boast against me when my foot slips. And picking up again, verse 21. Do not forsake me, O Lord. O my God, be not far from me. Make haste to help me, O Lord of my salvation. Now, pretty quickly in this psalm, as we read even portions of it, it becomes clear that this is a psalm of lament. It's a psalm of somebody who is suffering deeply. And if I'm honest, at this point in my life, I've heard that phrase, a psalm of lament, enough times that I sometimes fail to acknowledge just how amazing it is that we have such a psalm like this in Scripture. The Bible, after all, is a religious text. It's meant to showcase the glory and goodness of God. And so then how does a psalm like this fit into that? How does suffering and sickness interact with the glory and goodness of God? Interestingly, this psalm doesn't offer much of an answer beyond acknowledging that both God's glory and goodness and our suffering and sickness are real. After all, here, the psalmist seems to be sick with just about every sickness imaginable. He says there's no soundness in his flesh. His wounds are stinking and festering. His sides are filled with burning. He's feeble and crushed. His strength is failing. His heart is throbbing. He has a plague that causes his friends to stand aloof, his nearest kin to stand far off. And I wonder if right now this verse 11 feels a little too real as we experience social distancing, particularly for those of us who might indeed be sick. Our friends and companions are far off. Our kin have to stand far away. But David here isn't only describing physical sickness, he's describing also ways he is spiritually sick. He talks about there being no health in his bones because of his sin, that his iniquities have gone over his head. They're like a heavy burden that crush him. They're too heavy for him to bear. He spends all day bowed down, praying to the Lord. And yet, the fact that he is acknowledging these things means that he has some measure of trust that God will hear him. He even says as much where he says, O Lord, all my longing is before you. His sighing is not hidden from God. And Psalms of Lament typically have a turn to praise at the end, and this psalm is no exception. It's a slight turn, but it is one. David turns to the Lord, acknowledging that he is the one who will save him. Look at verse 15. He says, For you, O Lord, do I wait. It's you, O Lord, my God, who will answer. And then again, verse 21, he begs the Lord, do not forsake me. Be not far from me. Make haste, quickly help me. You are my salvation, my only hope. And here's where this challenges me today. The Bible isn't trite or insensitive to our suffering. It doesn't airbrush or dismiss it. So why do we? Unique to our time today, sickness is truly all around us. Its effects are everywhere. And friend, whether you are battling sickness or you know someone who is, let's not diminish this reality of suffering. Acknowledge your suffering to the God who cares, to yourself, and to the community around you. And let's turn together to God, our only hope, begging Him to come quickly to help us, our hope and our salvation.